Hello. I might have fixed the sound. I didn't realize it was so bad, but I went to watch back the end of the previous episode and I realized that the sound was all messed up. So I think I fixed it. It was caused by me misconfiguring OBS. So hopefully it'll work better today. But it seems like the video quality is still crappy as well. I don't really know why. I just lack of bandwidth in this place I'm living. Anyway, let's get to Haskelling. So last week I was looking at what was I looking at last week? I was looking at this idea of taking the storage and turning it into a type class so it was more abstract, and then providing a different implementation for tests, I guess. So in the real application, it uses file storage, and in the tests, it uses this mock thing, which I think just puts in a map. Actually, it's not even putting in a map, it's just hard coding stuff for now. I got it working just about at the end of the last episode. So the plan for today is to tidy it up a bit, make the mock more useful, and write some tests for the existing functionality. Along the way, I might tidy up some of this host stuff. So at the moment, hosts and participants go into the same file, and there's quite a lot of complexity around that. I might just get rid of that and put hosts and participants in separate files, because why not? I think I'll look at that as we go along. But other than that, it's really just a case of writing out some better specs and using this type class everywhere, trying to get all of that working, cleaning up the interface to the type class, because I still think it takes... I still think it's a bit messy, but I need to come back to that. Yeah, so let's get going with that. Okay, so got an existing test. It just says we can list hosts. It uses this mock storage. The const I want to get rid of. So the make app env, this is annoying me. I might fix it now. Make app env takes a file path and returns this app with the env built inside it. So it uses the file path to get it uses the file path because there's already some existing stuff that some of the existing code is passing the file path around. So if I can clean up the existing code, I can get rid of this file path thing, I think, and then I can get rid of these lines of code, and I don't need to have this stupid const in place. It's not that stupid, but it's a bit annoying. So I might have a look at that and see basically what happens if I take these out. I'll just follow the errors and see what happens. So here are these file paths. Oh. And now we have this unused thing. This creative missing. I need to worry about this. Okay. And where is this called from? So it's called from main. Oops. And inside main, we call file storage. And where is file storage against base directory from? My binding for my back is broken. Back? Oh no, it's because it's old, not control. Okay. Make app env passing in file storage. Right, okay, so this calls data directory. That should be okay, actually. It knows it can get the data directory back. So I guess it's just a case of creating these files that are missing, or maybe creating the directory if it's missing. And in fact, just creating a file is to do with file storage. It's not to do with the application in general, because it might not be storing it in files. So let's get rid of that for a start. And whoops, hang on. This takes something that goes from a file path to S. So now we can just take something that goes directly, that is the storage thing. Okay. So whenever we create the storage, we're always passing in the data directory, and that's not what we want to do. And in fact, the whole concept of data directory doesn't really belong here. So if I go to file storage for a second, I could, oops, randomly type characters. I could put in something which allows me to create an instance of the file storage. So something like make file storage. And that should have a file path, and return a new file storage. Should be nice and simple. So make file storage, given some path, is equal to, for now I'm just going to use the built-in constructor, so we'll just say file storage, and then the path, so we can reduce this, but I don't really want to because we are going to I'm going to do some more stuff in a moment. But you know what? Let's just reduce it for now, shut up. So, problem here, lacks an accompanying binding, because I mistyped that, make file storage, okay. Defined but not used, and I don't have a shortcut for code lengths. Oh, export it. There we go. Okay. So given this, go back to main for a second. We can say storage. In fact, it's just going to be let storage equal make file storage. And it needs the data directory somehow. So where was that coming from before? I think in the application we were just hard coding it effectively. Okay, so this can also move into file storage. So we won't pass in a file path, but we will provide it in this file. So let's go to that for a second. So we have file storage of data directory. Okay, so now this needs, because we're doing I/O stuff, this needs to be, oops. So it needs to be I/O file storage. And now we apply file storage to that. Okay, and then lookup env comes from this environment, and these come from file, OS path, system file path. That's probably what I want. Okay, so now we can just call make file storage, and it will take care of the data directory, but it won't ensure that the files exist yet. So we can go back and do that in a second. But in main, I don't know why you can't load this. I'll come back to that in a sec. So our storage is make file storage, and then we just call makeup-env for that file storage. So actually we could just call it with make file storage. Then we need to assign it to variable. I know why it's saying this actually. It's not HLS bug. It's not even, I don't know if it's a bug or not. I've had this problem a lot with Haskell recently, where in the main application, in fact, if I'm switching between the main application and the tests and potentially the library as well, they've got different dependencies. So if it goes to file, so the test suite, for example, has got these dependencies which don't include random, and the executable does include random, and the library, I don't know, it doesn't. It shouldn't really matter. So I'm starting HLS. Well, in fact, the first file it loaded was a test, so it started HLS for the test, which doesn't got random. I can restart it in executable, it will pick up random, but then I won't have HSpec. So when I go to the test file, it breaks. So I wonder if there's a fix for this where you can tell HLS you're moving between different parts of your project, and it can pull out the appropriate or restart with the appropriate dependencies. But I don't know how to do it. But that's why it's telling me system random can't be loaded, because it started HLS thinking that system random is not in the list of dependencies. Right, anyway. We get arguments, we get our environment, and our environment now, nope, not there. Our environment no longer needs the directory. And it no longer needs the directory here. So now, will this reduce it properly for me? Yeah, kinda. Okay, so it couldn't match iOS with actual type S. Actual type S. Trying to get this right, so it's going to be pure of that. Okay, so that will now, it no longer requires any knowledge of the file system to create the application environment. I think it's good. I don't think this needs to be in IO anymore. Like we could do that. And then we could do that. At some point, we'll pull participant count out of the environment variables, but for now, that seems fine. Okay, so next things are going to be creating these files if they are not there. So we want to get the file path for all of the various files that are used by file storage, and then create them if they are not already present. So I'll just delete them from here for a second. Oops, go to file storage. It's going to drop them into here. So there are a few things I think we want to do here. I think, it's got create directory of missing. Maybe that's good enough. I don't know if I need to create the files as well. What happens if the files are not there? Calls load, which calls read file, so it does expect them to be present. Okay. So I might just refactor it a little bit. So we can say the directory is the data directory. And then we can just create it if it's not there. Okay, and then we can say create file of missing. Missing, and it takes a path. So what I'm going to do is just run over a bunch of paths. So we want, we want the directory joined onto people. And I think topics is the other one. Don't know yet. I don't know what called a read file. Do we want to do that? This thing. Create directory of missing. Let's try just one thing for a second. So that works okay. And then we would want to map this over a list of these things. And then we get directory added on to topics. So we get rid of brackets, which you don't need, and then we'll see what the error is. So couldn't match type. Bracket with IO, expected IO of unit, and got list of IO of unit. Okay, this is, where are we? Now it's pure. Okay, so we can go file path to file path. And create file of missing, goes file path to IO unit. Oh, sorry, map him. Right, sorry, it's because there's an effect here. So I can't just map over it because this is impure. That's what I was complaining. Okay, so map over that. So we'll create the missing files, and then we will return the file storage object pointing at that directory. Okay, so now I can ditch this and fix this, I think. So we will system IO, I think. And this from the same place. Okay, so now when we create our file storage, we should make sure the directory is there and make sure that the files are there. Right. Okay, so now when we try and load something, it should look up and see what those files are. I could make this a little bit better, I think. So rather than just storing the base directory, I could store all of the different file paths inside here. So I just change this to data And then, whoops, we can store a base directory, but we can also say I might do this explicitly, so even though it's the same file for now, we can say host file is a file path, and participants file is a file path, and the topics file is also a file path. All of this because the keyword const annoyed me. Don't think we need the base directory anymore. Okay, so when we create our file storage, we want to put all of these things in place. So we get our data directory and we make sure it exists. Then after that, we can say let file storage equal a new instance of file storage and then in here you can say hosts file is equal to directory followed by people, and participants file is directory followed by people for now, and topics file is equal to directory followed by topics. Okay. So now we can pull out these values in here. So we can say, I'm going to shorten the name because it's going to know me otherwise. So we can say fs.hosts file. Okay, now just like the version. I've been writing some Haskell recently and using record.syntax, and I quite like it. So I think I'm going to add it to here as well because I think we got quite a recent version of Haskell. Let's find out. So my Haskell 2010, we can do better than that. It's not 2023, it's no suggestions. What's the version of Haskell? So record.syntax and another one. Just give us a second to restart. It has not restarted properly, I don't think, because it should be complaining more. Because this should end in pure file storage. Here we should be able to say fs.participants file and fs.topics file. Reformatted and saving, so that's a good sign, I think. Okay, so now down here it is surely broken, and it is not, so I'm going to just try restarting LSP. Haha, good, I think. Good in the sense that if I say compile build, it should tell me what version of Haskell I need to fill in. Record.syntax, did I mean Unicode syntax? Okay, I don't know what I meant. I'll go back to location a second and fix that. That did kind of build, maybe not. Okay, that's in application, which is not showing me any problems. So let me restart LSP again, see if it starts this time. Yep, so I can say remove all redundant imports, save that file. Okay, we're getting closer, I think. So file storage, yes, it's now full of errors. That's what we want. Okay. This is not baster anymore. It's going to be, I might as well keep going with this approach. So it's fs.hosts file. And this is fs.participants file. Ooh, did a funny thing. Very funny thing there. And this will be fs.topics file. Okay. Okay, that's not working for me, so it is. Oh. I now need my language extension. I can't remember what it is, and it's not being suggested to me. Okay, let's find a browser. Haskell record.syntax. Overloaded record dot. Let's try that. And here. Does it understand that? Yes, it does. Okay. That's good. I need something that formats compile files for me, because I keep having to do this by hand. Okay. These ones need to delete the spaces. Cool. Got a stray FS in there. Okay. So in this file, are we good now? I think we're kind of good. I'm just not sure about this read file and where it's called from. I think there's still places that are passing in the file path. I need to get rid of those. But in here, I think now, when I make a new file storage object, it looks up the data directory, creates it was missing, then it builds file storage with these paths inside it. And then for each of those paths, it goes through and creates the file if it's not there, just by touching it, I think, opening and closing it. And yeah, when you try and load, you pass in the data type, and it then calls some underlying thing which really does the loading, but it reconstructs. In fact, you don't need to put people in the end of this, because now it's like the whole point about putting this in place was it doesn't repeat the name of the file. Okay. Okay, so now we call load, it calls it underlying load. And this should, well, this then does some marshalling. And here for add, it still expects to take a file path, so I need to go and rewrite that. And remove still expects file path, and so on. Okay, back to main. Inside main, this is now okay. So we get our arguments. We create our file storage, the actual file storage we're going to use. And then we call run with our arguments. Okay, that makes sense. The arguments are the commands in this case. So host, participants, topics, whatever. Okay. And in the test, and this should be broken, hopefully. Oh, it's more broken than expected. It's broken the kind of way it's not showing me where it's broken. But make appenv now shouldn't take a function, it should take a storage object. Is it going to restart? Or is it going to break again? It's going to break again. Okay. Save without formatting. Let's run cabal, see what state it thinks it's in. Okay, so topic storage is broken and cast storage is broken. It's not going to help. Topics storage. Okay, it shouldn't need topics file path. Oh, where did I jump to? It's not allowed topics file path. Okay, so these are the places that are still using it. So we shouldn't be getting the file path back. We should be getting the storage back. And then saying add a topic. So we have the thing we want to store. We're going to ask for storage. And then we're going to call S, whatever this S thing is. No. We're going to call it s.add s.topic, and then the thing we want to store. Then the storage that we used to store it with, and that whole thing will be lifted into I/O. Right, so if I go to storage, my interface does not have add. So given some storable, how did this work for load? Go and look at if I go to file storage, and just look at the signature for load. So we take a data type and the storage and return IO of list of A. We take a data type and the storage and return IO list of A. Okay, cool. So given A is a storable thing, given a data type and a storage and an A, return IO of unit. Okay, so in theory that should work for adding stuff. And then for removing it, going to be similar things. So given A is storable, given some data type and our storage and the thing we want to remove, then we return nothing. Am I getting this right? So we're going, no, I'm always passing in the storage as the last argument. So it should actually be just swap these around basically. Given the data type and the thing you want to store. Okay. So back in remove, I can say for a second. So we get the name. It's not a name, it's a topic. So we take our topic and we turn it into text. I wonder why it's a string. Anyway, take a topic, turn it to text, get our storage object back, and we call remove on it. Remove. Okay, so now I need to say the app that's passed in needs to implement storage because I'm using it as storage. And the same thing here. And ditch that. Okay, so now topic storage. Oh, it's a string because it's coming from the list of arguments, basically. So given some topic, we turn it to text, then we get our storage object and we call add on it. Then for remove, we get our topic, turn it to text, get our storage object and call remove, and loading works. It worked last time, loading works in the same way. So the other storage thing I need to fix is inside cast. It's going to be the same thing. So the loading ones I did last week. Adding, I kind of did, by the looks of things. Or it already needs storage because it needs to look it up and make sure it's not there. Removing does no such check. So given that S is something that implements storage, why does it need append? Needs append because that's what everything runs under. Okay. Right. So instead of getting back people's file paths, we get back storage. It's not path, it is S. When we have it, we can call lift.io, remove this thing. We don't pass in the path anymore. We pass in, s dot host, so host removing. The thing we want to remove and the storage itself. Okay. I just want to do that in one line, but I don't need to, so I won't yet. Okay, same thing here, remove participant. Given some thing as a storage, here I'm just going to replace that with ask storage. Then we call s.remove, but we need to lift into IO. We don't give it a path, but we give it an s.participant in this case, participant itself, and the storage. Okay. Add unless exists. So this is where we're actually doing the storing. So S is asking for storage. Unless it exists, then we will say lift.io of s.add s. The thing. Gosh, come on a second. The thing we're actually storing, and then this thing. So we need another argument here, which is whatever this type is. No. Data type, s.data type. Okay, it's quite annoying. So we're going to take the storable, but also the data type. So it's the data type. And this is the data type as well. Okay, add unless exists. Now it needs to say s.participant and the participant. It's a bit repetitive. s.host and the host. Okay, we can get rid of that. So now the cast storage doesn't know anything about the file storage class. sorry, the file storage module. What state is the project in? Okay, file storage no longer implements the interface because somewhere here we haven't got things for add and remove. So add, type of add is given some storable thing and a data type. And the thing we want to add, then run it under, see, we can't run it under app-s annoyingly, we need to run it under IO of, just run it under IO, not app-s. Okay, so now what do we have? We have some type. So it's, if it's a host, we want to say, I called it load prime up here, and I read something recently about naming convention in Haskell, and load prime means, is it like a strict version of a function, which isn't the case here. So I should stop calling things prime just because they're variants. I should call it something like do load, or maybe load file. And here this should be add file, and this takes a storable and this will take a file path and an A and run it under IO. And that's the place where we put this. So add file is equal to that. So when we call add host, given there's a host and we got something to store, we say add file with okay. It now takes another argument, which is file storage. So we got a thing to store and we got our file storage, and we call fs dot hosts file. And X. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. It's just, it's fine. It's just I need to add more clauses to it. And here, give it some arguments. So it's path and X. Okay, not exhaustive, but won't add them in for me. So participant X and file system is add file fs.participants file and X, and then topics, and that's add file fs.topic X. Okay, so that's implemented add. Yep, the error's gone away, but now it's just in for remove. So we'll call this remove file, In fact, let me just call this remove file. So given some storable and some file path and some A, run it under IO. That should be all okay. I think. So remove, we'll say given some storable A, has got an E in it, given some storable and a data type and the thing to remove, run under IO, and then remove of what we got here. We got s.host. I'm just going to copy these because it's basically the same. Let's go to the equal sign. And then we should type remove in here. And it didn't work. So given it is passed in file storage, that's why. Okay, so in theory, go back up to the instance, we do implement the full interface now. So let's see, what's it? Cabal is in file storage. We've got an unused import. Okay, ish. Make file storage in main. HLS is not running properly, but basically here I'm going to import make file storage. I spelled storage in two different ways, two different places. What have we got here? So can match type append with IO. So it wants IO of IO file storage for some reason. I think I know why. So make file storage, which is here. Oh, it does run under IO. Okay. So make file storage runs under IO. Sorry. Storage comes from make file storage. How are we going to store it? Oh, not happy. Okay, make up M. Let's look at the type of that. It wants file storage to file storage, and it gets the wrong type. And because that F is broken as well. So make up env given S is some storable thing, right, okay. So this doesn't work because this is of type IO and this is of type append of type app, I think. Get my storage back, and I'll just use it here. why is it type app? It's not. Sorry, makeup-env is, wait a second. Makeup-env itself is now pure. Right. So this will be let env equal that. So I could run it like this, but I'm not sure that's any clearer. Don't mind some extra lines. So get our arguments back, create our storage stuff, create our application environment, and then we run it. Okay, now we've got an unused import because we no longer directly need to get to the constructor of file storage, which means I might be able to stop exporting it. Okay, build, that was good. Let me try just doing that. No, we still need the type, probably. But can we do that? We can. Do we need the type? We don't even need to export the type. Okay. So you call make file storage back. So you call make file storage. You don't care about what you get back. But the type system does care that it implements storage. Okay. So, given all that, the tests now should be broken. Because this doesn't implement the full interface. But it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a long time to restart and tell me that. But we basically need add, which goes, takes some storable and runs with s.datatype, the storable thing, storage, and returns out of unit. I'm going to say undefined, I think, don't know. Oh, this is still happy. LSB is really not happy. Okay, let's see how good I am actually writing code with a language server. Remove should be the same as add. In the sense it's undefined. And then run cabal test, tert. I will cancel that. Save without formatting. Cabal test, and let's see if it builds. No, not quite. Not at all. Okay. So couldn't match type IO with app-env. Run reader T, load hosts, environment. And load hosts is a bit confused now. I'm not that confused, it's the same thing. So it's now just let env equal that because makeup-env is now pure. And it passes. Cool. Conveniently at 10 o'clock. Okay. So I guess I was just finishing off the work of removing the concept of file path or files in general from the application, so it just has a storage thing and it can call that, passing in the type of thing it's storing and the data to store or to load or to remove or whatever. And in the tests we can swap it out and replace it with its mock implementation. mock implementation doesn't do very much. It just does loading of some static data, but I'm hoping that I can then maybe next week turn this into a map, and then when you store stuff, it remembers you've stored it. So when you call add, it'll add it to its. It doesn't have to be a map actually. It can just add it to its list of hosts, for example. And when you call remove, it can take it out, and then when you call load, it will just return that thing. Cool. So thanks for watching along. Hopefully come back next week and do some more testing. Cool. See you next week. Goodbye.